What's up, y'all? I hope everybody's okay. These conversations have been swirling around defund the police since Barack Obama called it a bad slogan. and and I've been listening to various people chime in, and I think everybody's a little off. Not quite. I think we're missing the point and the purpose of it. And I think I want to do some clarification that lives inside at least my own understanding. And recognizing I didn't have anything to do with the creation of the language of defund the police, but I certainly feel in alignment with what it has intended to bring about in the world. So here's the deal. Defund the police means exactly what the fuck it says. It means take some of them funds. Oh, so let me be clear. Actually, let me start from the visionary aspect of defund the police. Because the visionary aspect of defund the police is a world without police. And is that difficult for most people to see? Absolutely. Why? Because most people are not operating or living in this paradigm inside of a liberatory imagination. Most people inside of this paradigm are very much still stuck inside the imagination of punishment, of isolation, of disconnection, of scarcity, of lack. And we can look around our world of individualism. We can look around our world and see the reflections of that mindset, that imagination. The other day in my Permission to Imagine talk with Adrienne Maree Brown brought up this idea, and I cannot remember in this moment the original person who said it, that we are in a battle of imaginations, right? And that right now we live inside of the imagination of those who would like to see us harmed, would like to see us not exist. But right now we are inside of the imagination of bodily hierarchy and body terrorism, if I'm putting that inside the framework of radical self-love, right? We are inside the imagination of comparison as access to self-worth. We are inside the imagination of disconnection as, disconnection as accountability, of scarcity as necessity. This is the imagination that we've been inside. And inside of the imagination but that imagination has birthed these systems, and these systems perpetuate those imaginations. Okay? And so when you hear the term defund the police, what you are hearing is a visioning. You are hearing the visioning born out of a liberatory imagination. And of course you can't wrap it. If you find it impossible to think of a world without police, what it says to me is you find it impossible to think of a world where we all take care of each other. And for me, that says very clearly that there is wounding inside of where you exist that makes it inaccessible to think of the possibility of care as commonplace. And so I invite you to be inside of the exploration of what in me makes me feel like that's not possible, right? And I also, for other people, they're like, right, inside of that is, I'm going to lose a job, or people that I love will lose a job. And again, I would offer that inside of that is an inability to imagine that if something dies, something else gets birthed. That there is some other calling for that person, for you, outside of policing. And that right now, the attachment to that as the form actually interrupts what could be the spirit. Because I know I grew up inside of the narrative of police as the good guy, right? That's the story we got sold, right? Police stop the bad people, right? And so oftentimes people go into policing believing that they are stopping the bad people, only to be inside of a system that perpetuates massive harm, where they become the bad people, killing a lot of good people. Right? And so what I would offer is, and this comes directly from my own life, right? Is what is the spirit of the thing and be less attached to the form? Can we be inside the spirit of a thing so that we don't have to be inside rigid in the form? Because when the form breaks, if we are not still connected to the spirit, then our spirit will be broken when the form breaks. There have been times in my life where I've been so attached to a form that when it broke, it snapped my spirit. And that is because I had substituted the spirit of a thing for the form of a thing. So there is an invitation inside of the liberatory imagination of defund the police. And I know it's difficult because inside of that liberatory imagination, right? Actually what that statement does is it removes the thing, right? It removes an entity in the world, inside of our brains, inside of our minds, right? But it doesn't replace it. And that's the scary part. The scary part is, so you're telling me to take something away. Well, what are we going to put in its place? And because that's still being formed, because we don't have a clear vision about it yet, because that part requires us. It requires us to step into possibility. It requires us to say, well, what do we really want? That's why it's so scary, because it leaves the responsibility of what happens in between there that ensures that we take care of each other up to us. And what we, in so many ways, desire is to not have to be responsible for each other. Shit, we don't desire to be responsible for our damn selves. Right? And so point one, that is a statement of creating a possibility, pulling out a form, and then saying, what is it that we would like to put in its place, right? And that is scary because it requires us to step into, to be with the unknown and to be with possibility. And if we haven't healed our own trauma, then we know we can't be with possibility in its fullness, right? Inside of the conversation of it's not effective, it turns people off. What I would offer is that I would offer actually that it turns people on. Now, whether or not we like the version of on, right? What it does is it creates an activation, right? Because inside of that activation is either an affirmation, right? Like an alignment or a discordance, right? Either that resonates with you or it rubs up against you, but either way it goes, it does us something. And it does us something in a world where nothing was being done. And so I would offer that the slogan is doing great. Because guess what nobody was talking about before the movement for Black Lives said defund the police? Nobody was talking about defunding the police. Certainly not in the mainstream public sphere, right? So all of a sudden, we now have to contend with a thought that we'd never thought before. And that's the purpose. The purpose of activism, the purpose of liberatory imagination, the purpose of visioning is to put forth in the world something that the world will then have to contend with. But if we never put anything forth in the world for the world to have to grapple with, then that space stays in its old form. You know? And so, yes, so what ends up happening is we move someplace rather than moving no place at all. And we also illuminate, bring to visual awareness the discordance. Because we've been acting like everybody was just fine with policing, right? And now what we are present to is something is wrong. And whether everybody agrees with the action, We are in a conscious state of saying there is a discordance between what we've been doing and the experience of it by many people in the world. And that's necessary. And so we are moving, because we went from not thinking about a thing at all to publicly thinking about a thing and wrestling with a thing and considering a thing. And if the visionary's goal is to bring about something totally new, then we're closer than we were before the words got said. We spoke a thing. And as you speak a thing into being, all of the things that are in its way will also reveal themselves. And that's necessary. And so Barack Obama was wrong. I just say that flat out. And Barack Obama's been wrong about a lot of things, because Barack Obama is inside of some really specific forms and structures. You have to be the president of the United States. And this is the thing that I keep going back and saying again and again to folks is, in order to run this imperialist project, you have to buy into its systems to some extent. And so if we are looking for liberation inside of these governmental structures, we'll be looking a long time. That is always going to be a place where we must be in resistance. It must. And we can leverage, we can activate, we can disrupt productively, but we be mindful never to collude with. So, I just wanted to say that. Defund the police means exactly what the fuck it says. A world without police. And it's okay if you're not there yet. There's some things you need to heal. There's some stuff you need to clear up so that you can open up the fertile landscape of your imagination so that you might access what Kay Williams calls a Black love and care ethic, in which we can imagine how we take care of each other and love each other. Because we can be clear that people are not loved and cared for inside the policing system. And part of that is because we believe some people don't deserve love and care. And I would offer that is born out of a white supremacist, capitalist, heteropatriarchy, delusional space. And we already know that don't work. All right, be with that, y'all. Defund the police.